This is Smart Poker Study, episode 197, Plugging the Leak of Willy-Nilly Poker Studies. In last week's episode number 196, I answered 3 questions about getting beyond the micros and avoiding those Zoom games, taking live poker notes, and learning to use pop-up stats. It's poker study time, y'all! Thank you so much for joining me on this fantastic poker voyage. We are traveling in style today with Coolio at the helm. And speaking of cool, of course, ain't nobody cooler than my Patreon poker pals. These peeps just supported me for another month. August of 2018. I absolutely love it. Thank you all so much for continuing that support. And I really do enjoy putting the show, this thrice weekly show out for you. And the time that I spend creating it, it's supported by everyone over there on Patreon. Your support shows me that you enjoy the show and that you want me to keep on keeping on with it. So to start your own support, go to Patreon, that's patreon.com/smartpokerstudy. There are different levels of support with different rewards attached. And of course, seeing as how this is a brand new month, new rewards are coming out really soon. I've got some great Patreon-only podcasts coming out in about 10 days and a training video as well in about 10 days or so. Once you begin your Patreon support, you're going to get the current month's reward as well as access to the archive of patron-only content. So for just a few dollars a month, which is often less than one buy-in, you're going to support the show and you'll receive some valuable poker content in return. So please visit patreon.com/smartpokerstudy to start your support. Alrighty, poker peeps, you know that I'm all about studying and playing with purpose, of course. Well, I think way too many people, they still have the leak of willy-nilly poker studies. This is when you don't have a plan for your studies. You hit maybe a 3-bet video on Monday, a poker math video on Tuesday, and you skip studying all the way from Wednesday through Saturday, and then right before you start grinding on that Sunday grind of yours, you study for 20 minutes before you pop up on those MTT or cash game tables. No more, I say! This podcast is going to help you finally get beyond willy-nilly studying. I'm going to give you a weekly poker study plan, and I'll give you an example of this plan in action. So please visit the show notes page for everything I discussed today, along with screenshots and links at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod197. And while you're there, you can sign up for the weekly boost for exclusive poker strategy direct to that inbox. Okay, it's that time. Gambate!
Very well. Where do I begin?
So I know that you want the biggest poker bang for your study buck. And to do this, you're going to need to control the quantity and the quality of your studies and your play time. So first, let's discuss the quantity of study and the quantity of play. Now, this comes from your dedication to a minimum amount of each on a daily basis. First, I recommend that you study and play a minimum of 5 days per week, with 6 or 7 being optimal, of course. I recommend that you spend 20% to 33% of your poker time in actual study. So this would make a study to play ratio between 1 to 2 and 1 to 4. So you can think of it as for every 1 hour of study, you play between 2 and 4 hours. Now that doesn't mean you need to study every single day for 1 hour and play for a minimum of 2. I do have different minimums to set. My minimums on a daily basis are 20 minutes of study and 40 minutes of play each day. If you can do more, great, do more. But at a minimum, everybody has 1 hour in their day that they can dedicate to both a little bit of study and a little bit of play. Now here's something that a lot of people do, but I really think you shouldn't, and that's to cram all of your studies for the entire week into one day. It really doesn't help you learn efficiently. Your mind needs a little bit of downtime to help process the information that it's taking in. This also helps you make connections between poker concepts, and it gives you more time to practice what you're learning between sessions. So let's talk about the quality of your study and your play. Now, this comes from focusing all of it around one specific strategy each week. Maybe you want to improve your 3-bet game, maybe your board texture understanding, maybe your utilization of poker math, or you want to plug the leak of open limping. With a singular weekly focus, you're going to get more out of your time on and off the felt. In order to help you stay focused, you're going to create a weekly plan that keeps you on track and hits your chosen strategy topic from a variety of angles. You're going to study different content like videos, articles, books, and podcasts from a variety of creators. You're going to track your progress by recording before and after statistics related to your strategy topic. And of course, you're going to play with purpose, and you will intentionally practice the strategies that you're studying and learning off the felt. And of course, you're going to treat your study and your playtime as sacrosanct, and you will time block them and remove all distractions before you start those study and those play sessions. All right, the next thing I want to give you is my 6-part weekly poker study plan. So I want you to visit right now, smartpokerstudy.com/HTSP weekly study plan. And you can find a link to this in the show notes as well. Now, once you go to this link, you can download and then print up a blank copy of my 6-part weekly poker study plan. I'm going to cover all of the 6 parts right now for you, but if you have that in front of you or just look at it on the computer screen as you listen to me go through them, it might make this a little bit easier for you to understand what I'm talking about. Now, the 6 parts might seem a little daunting, but I promise you it's quick and easy to complete. I do my study planning, or my weekly study planning, for about 30 minutes every Sunday. Now, I'm not just going to talk about each of the steps here. I'm going to give you an entire example for somebody who is wanting to work on maybe their poker math, right? Maybe you feel that you draw with bad pot odds, or maybe you never know how often you must win to make a profitable river call. Maybe you don't even understand implied odds, nor how to calculate the chances that you're going to hit your draw. Or maybe you don't want to be a quote-unquote feel player anymore, and instead you want a more logical approach to the game. So whatever the reasons, you've decided to improve your poker math. So let's hit step number 1. I hope you have that weekly study plan in front of you. Well, once again, smartpokerstudy.com/HTSP weekly study plan. Alrighty, so part 1 is committing to a singular weekly theme. You are no longer going to be a willy-nilly studier. No more C-bet video on Monday and then pre-flop ranges Tuesday, like I said, and then skipping everything and then hitting the books for 20 minutes on Sunday. No more of that stuff. No more flitting from one topic to the next without fully diving into any one to really improve your skills within that area. For many of you, you might be constantly bouncing between study topics where you're not really focusing on one and you're not mastering any one. And that might be why you're stuck at 5NL or 10NL or 25NL for like the past 2 or 3 years. So because in this example, we're going to be committing to a full week of poker math studies, everything we're going to do is math-centric. But there are so many avenues of poker math to study that we can go down. We don't want to study EV math, break-even math, outs and odds math, ranges in percentage form, implied odds and negative implied odds. We don't want to inundate ourselves with too much math stuff, right? It's just way too much. We need to get granular with our math studies this week. Maybe we think our biggest problem is drawing with poor odds being offered. We draw to the gut shot, the open-ender, the flush draws. We draw to them way too often, and we lose a lot of money doing so. And we don't know if the price that we're paying is worth it or not to try to hit the draw. So basically, we're just going by feel, and we call when we hope or we feel like we're going to get lucky and hit on the next street. So, in order to get granular in the math theme, our one theme this week is going to be outs and odds math. So step 2 is creating knowledge-seeking questions. And I love this part of the process. Asking myself questions that help guide my studies is critical because great questions lead to great answers and, of course, a better understanding of the topic at hand. So with this step right here, you need to write down 3 to 5 questions that's going to put you on the right path to learning. This makes you a more active participant, and answering your own questions is a way to challenge yourself to learn all that you can. Here are the 5 questions that I came up with for the theme of outs and odds math. Question 1, how often do different draws hit on the next street? Question 2, how do I calculate pot odds? Question 3, how do I compare pot odds with outs? Question 4, what bet sizing can I call to profitably continue with A, gut shot straight draws, B, open-ended straight draws, and C, flush draws, or D, 2 overcards? And question 5, how can I practice my math skills on the felt? And of course, these 5 questions aren't the end all be all, right? As I'm studying day 1 and day 2 of studying, some other questions might present themselves. I might have some questions about implied odds, or maybe questions about, hey, I have a flush draw. Instead of just calling, can I semi-bluff raise instead? That kind of a thing. All right, the third step in this process is tracking quantifiables. Now, here's something an old boss taught me a long time ago. He told me, we can't improve what we don't track. So of course, you want to track the progress of your study and your play, and the best way to do that is with statistics and win rates from your database. You want to begin by recording kind of a baseline for your numbers. So record the last 30,000 hands, or more even, up until the day you begin your studies on this topic. Then at the end of your first week of study and play, record these numbers again to see how you've progressed. If you have to do a second week of study because you just haven't gotten it after the first, record them again, So for the theme of outs and odds math, here are some metrics that I recommend you track. First is your total big blind per 100 hands win rate. The next is the number of hands that you saw the flop and the win rate, just to give you a basis for a win rate when seeing the flop. Now you want to record the number of flopped flush draws and the win rate associated when you flop that flush draw. You also want to record the number of calls when you flop the flush draw and the win rate when you call that flop bet. Also the number of raises when you flop that flush draw and the win rate when you made your raise. And you want to record the number of folds when you flopped your flush draws. And then you can hit all those same statistics again for your various straight draws that you can hit. So now that we've decided on these quantifiables, you're going to kind of have an idea in your mind of what you want to see from your numbers after your first week of play. So since we're working here with the idea that you are not making maybe profitable drawing or calling decisions when you're drawing on the flop, it's possible that you're just not folding enough. Maybe you're just calling way too often. So you might want to see your fold numbers increase. It may also be a good idea to find more spots to turn your draws into semi-bluff raising opportunities, so you're going to want to see an increase in raising numbers as well. And as you go about your studies and play, over time you're going to learn how to interpret the numbers that you're generating. Also, throughout your week, you may realize you want to track even more numbers. So let's say you start by just tracking those flush draw and those straight draw stats that I already mentioned. Maybe you realize that, hey, I'm flopping 2 overcards so freaking often that I want to track those too. So add that to your tracking. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy. They have over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. And of course, they have my first 2 books, How to Study Poker Volumes 1 and 2. And recently, just about a month or so ago, they have my 3rd book, Pre-Flop Online Poker. They're all available for you. What I really recommend is that you start your 30-day free trial and get a free audiobook. The first one should be Pre-Flop Online Poker. And then because it's cheaper than the others, you want to purchase How to Study Poker Volume 1. Listen to that first, and then listen to Pre-Flop Online Poker. Listening to How to Study Poker Volume 1 is going to going to help you to get more out of your studies. It'll help you to get more out of that Pre-Flop Online Poker. So once again, go to audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy to start learning from audiobooks. And speaking of my new book, Pre-Flop Online Poker, Randy left me a great 5-star review on Amazon for my book, and he titled it, Sky's a Great Teacher! And he says, if you follow his guidance with consistency, you will see improvement in your game at any level. Well, thank you, Randy, for that review. I really do appreciate it. It's reviews like this that really help spread the word, push my book higher up on the list, so when somebody just searches the term for poker or poker study or poker play or online poker, those various keywords, hopefully my book shows up higher on the list. And with so many people leaving great killer reviews like this, well, it convinces other people to buy. So thank you very much, Randy, and for everyone else who's been leaving reviews. Alrighty, back to class, poker people. Alrighty, step 4 of the 6-part weekly poker study plan. Now, this is choosing your study methods and content. Now, for those of you who have read or listened to How to Study Poker Volume 1 or Volume 2, there are many ways that you can study any theme on a weekly basis. Of course, there's Poker Tracker 4 and Flopzilla for hand history reviews and hand reading practice, that kind of thing. But beyond all that database stuff, the first thing that you're going to want to do is to search for some poker strategy content out there. There's so many books, videos, articles, podcasts, forums that you can post in. Those are all readily available on the interwebs for you. And to keep yourself focused on the topic at hand when you're studying, it pays to make a list of the items that you want to study that week. You want to do this on Sunday as you plan out your week. So spend a little time on Google or YouTube or in your favorite training site, just doing some searching for some key words and look for some quality content from different content producers. And you're consuming different viewpoints because no single producer has all the answers. They're each going to hit a topic from different angles, and each are going to emphasize different aspects. So this is the goal with this, of course, is to help give you like a well-rounded understanding of whatever topic that you're studying. So I did a little bit of Google and YouTube work for myself for outs and odds math, and here are 5 pieces of content. I'll just give you the name of it and where I got it from, and then you can go to the show notes page to actually click on the link there to take you directly to it if you want to do some of this outs and odds math studying. So the first is an article called Poker Mathematics, and that was by thepokerbank.com. The next is another article called Outs, Probabilities, and Odds in Poker, and that's by Mark Warner over there at exceptionalpoker.com. The third item is a video called How to Use Pot Odds in Poker, and that was produced by Poker Quick Plays on YouTube. The fourth one is a video called How to Quickly Calculate Pot Odds and the Probability and the probability of hitting your outs. And that's by Goku Poker on YouTube as well. And the final one is a chapter from a book, and I just pulled out some random books on my shelf, and I found a good one. The book is called Secrets of Professional Tournament Poker, Volume 1. It's written by Jonathan Little, and in Chapter 1, there's a section simply titled Pot Odds, and it's on pages 28 to 33. So with a list like this, you're going to hit a different piece of poker content each day, and you're going to watch, read, or listen to it with a critical ear. And most importantly, you're going to take notes on all that you learn. You can do it in a physical journal, a Word document, or Evernote. I use a physical journal. For years, I did it in a Word document, but I just really like writing it down, and it feels like the stuff sticks in my head a little bit better when I'm writing it as opposed to just typing it out. And the other aspect of the study methods is your in-game and the off-the-felt types of purposeful practice. In How to Study Poker Volume 1, I gave you 25 different ways to study poker. You can just consume content from others, or you can do some self-imposed purposeful practice like game tape, using tick sheets, dedicated warm-ups, reviewing your notes, creating one-sheets of all the notes and all the stuff that you study, doing forum postings or getting help from your study group, and there's so many more ways that you can study and play with purpose. Alrighty, step 5 in our 6-part weekly poker study plan is planning day by day. So what you're going to do is combine your daily studies with a daily in-game focus. So you're going to build out your entire week so that you can follow along and just work day in and day out. Plan your work and work your plan. So for the 5 pieces of poker math content that I listed before, those 2 articles, 2 videos, and the 1 book chapter, you can study an article on Monday and Wednesday. You can do the videos on Tuesday and Thursday, and then read that chapter in the Jonathan Little book on Friday. And of course, you can mix in some database analysis as well as some game tape reviews or even some forum hand posting on different days as well. However you want to study your poker math is up to you. Just separate it or spread it out between your 5, 6, or 7 days of study. Now, the second part of this step is having an in-game focus as you play each daily session. So this is your chance to actively put into practice the things you're learning. In every session of poker play, you'll strive to use the tactics and strategies that you've been working on off the felt, hopefully the same ones that you studied earlier that day. So for the theme of outs and odds math, maybe an in-game focus for you could be to actively plan pre-flop for how you're going to approach your flop draws. Now, a typical 20% pre-flop calling range, it hits a straight draw or a flush draw 18% of the time. And if you include 2 overcard draws, for example, having the king-queen on the deuce-3-9 board, well, if you count that as one of your draws, so flush draws, straight draws, and 2 overs, that hits 32.4% of the time. So basically, you're hitting a draw 1 out of every 3 calling hands. So planning for these draws to hit, it's actually a prudent measure. Alrighty, now the 6th part of this weekly poker study plan is, of course, taking notes, doing a second round of quantifiables, and then reflection on your week of studies. Now, we all know we went to high school, went to college. Note-taking is extremely important. You want to record the most important details from the content that you study and the lessons you learn while playing with purpose and, your hand history reviews in your study sessions as well. Good notes are your opportunity to put your thoughts and findings down on paper. This helps you to remember what you learned, and it's easy to go back at any time to re-familiarize yourself with your studies. And of course, at the end of your week of study and your focused play, you must record a second round of quantifiables. Hopefully, you've played 3,000 hands or more, with the more the merrier. If in 1 week, if you could actually play 5,000 hands, that's great. It gives you a better indication of what your studies or how your studies are affecting your play. Now you want to reflect on all that you've learned and the development of your stats. And here's one thing I love to do. Try condensing all of your notes into a one-sheet summary of the most important findings. You can think of this sheet as the ultimate guide to blank. So in this case, it's the ultimate guide to outs and odds math. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. Plan your next week of study. Choose any topic or strategy that you want to build skills within. Go to smartpokerstudy.com/HTSP Weekly Study Plan. When you're there, you can download a blank copy of the plan. Take 30 minutes today to plan your next 7 days of purposeful study and play surrounding your chosen topic. Now it's your turn to take action and do something positive for your poker game.
Oh, that's it now. Get out there and be somebody. Go write a book.
This episode is not complete until you head to the show notes page at smartpokerstudy.com/pod197. Go there for screenshots and links to everything I discussed today and to find out ways in which you can support the podcast. And on that page is also the link to smartpokerstudy.com/HTSP Weekly Study Plan to get your blank copy of the weekly study plan to help you improve your own game. Thank you so much for listening today. If you have not done so already, please subscribe and leave a review within your favorite podcatching app. This is the best way, other than word of mouth, that you can help the show grow. If you can type or say the word Smart Poker Study, you can find me on Alexa, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And I love those questions. If you've got any, send them to sky@smartpokerstudy.com. Alrighty, poker peeps, in the next episode number 198, I'm going to address a new leak for you to plug. Word of mouth is the best advertising, so thank you very much for sharing the show with other poker people. Your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.